All right, so going into 2021, the Indiana Hoosiers are gonna have some pretty big expectations. They finished the 2020 season 6-2. They were off to a phenomenal start, beating Penn State, beating Michigan, just beating some of the notable supposed blue bloods of the Big Ten. Now, of course, they only lost to their only conference loss was against Ohio State, which they lost 35-42. But it was a very, very good game for the most part, right? Indiana came back, they fought hard from getting blown out, and they made it close to a 7 point type of game. They did not end the season well. They ended up losing to Ole Miss in a pretty big bowl game in the Outback Bowl. However, you can make an argument, Indiana got screwed from a New Year's Six bowl game because they clearly had the second best record in the Big Ten, and they didn't go. They weren't able to really go to a New Year's Six bowl game. So you can make an argument that they were kind of screwed for going to a New Year's Six bowl game, and they ended up playing Ole Miss instead. But just taking a look at what's going on with the Indiana Hoosiers during the fall. Again, they're it's going to be very interesting to see what their spring is because Indiana's going to have some big expectations, right? Tom Allen is really for like the last, I will say, 3 to 4 years. Tom Allen has done a phenomenal job of steering this team in the right direction. And again, this is a team that doesn't have phenomenal recruiting classes. They're not going to blow you away with talent, but when it comes to just getting production on the football field, Tom Allen gets his players to really buy in, and they're going to have some talent coming back, and we'll see if the Indiana Hoosiers can make a run. Now, taking a look at some of the starters that they return back. First of all, you get your quarterback in Michael Penick. That's a big, big gain for the Indiana Hoosiers. I think he torn his ACL. I think he had a major injury. I forgot it was an ACL injury or something, but he had a major injury which kind of ended his season. But they expect to get him back. As far as some of the notable receivers, and I got notes right here. But you get Ty Frugal, Miles Marshall. And Ty Frugal, I believe he was your leading receiver. You also return Miles Marshall back, so that is a big, big gain for the Indiana Hoosiers. They do lose another receiver to the NFL draft. He was, I think, their second or the third leading receiver. But overall wise, at least you get guys like Marshall back and Frugal. You get some experience there. And obviously, I think Indiana has some depth, which can help out their young quarterback. You do lose your running back. I believe Steve Scott. You do lose Steve Scott. He was their leading rusher with close to around 500 yards. He was a 3-year starter for the Indiana Hoosiers. You do lose him, and I do believe you have this kid named Sampson that's supposed to step up. Now with Sampson, kid had 96 rushing yards, so he really didn't see a lot of playing time, but he's expected to be the next guy. Now, Indiana has a recruiting class. They have a pretty bad recruiting class coming in, but nothing with 3-star or 2-star talent. We'll see. Who knows? Some freshman kids can step up, but otherwise, Sampson is going to be the guy. So that's maybe one of the positions where I kind of questioned if they can get enough out of when it comes to production there. Their offensive line should be better. Their best player from the offensive line is gone. I believe his name. What's his name? Harry Kreider. That's his name. Harry Kreider is gone. He's going to the NFL. He was their best offensive lineman there. So again, Indiana's offensive line wasn't. It was okay at best. You do return around 6 or 7 key players that actually had a lot of playing time in those positions. So I don't know if they're gonna. So we're gonna see a lot of huge battles there at that particular offensive line group. They do get this kid, James and Carpenter from Michigan, who is expected to be a full-time starter there. I think at the guard position, I believe. I think he's a versatile guy. You can move him out at tackle, but he's a guy that's primarily, he might kick in at that guard spot. So it is a big get for the Indiana Hoosiers to get a kid like Carpenter there as well. Defensively, I think is going to be a strength. You look at the secondary, you return almost everybody back from your secondary. You do lose, I think, maybe 1 or 2 players off to the NFL, but besides that, a lot of players are coming back from your secondary. Just take a look at my notes here. But yeah, you got guys like Tawan Mullen, Reese Taylor, Jalen Williams. Those guys are going to be back. I like Devin Matthews. I like this kid, Devin Matthews, a lot. He's a very, very productive safety, hard-hitting type of guy. Devin Matthews is a guy that's going to, again, has a lot of productivity at one of those safety positions. Your linebacking spot is going to be beefed up. It's going to be really, really big at those linebacking positions. Looking at guys like Marcelo Ball, who's a 6-year player, who's more of a husky linebacker. He's more of a hybrid type of linebacker. But you return him back from injury. That's a big get as far as not only on the field production, but as far as leadership quality, as far as leadership on the football field and off the field as well. That's a big get for them. Taking a look at guys like Cam Jones, Micah McFadden, James Miller. As far as the linebacking position, then you got this guy named Bahome. I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but you also have Bahome, who's also more of a linebacking position. You can also put at the Husky role as well. But yeah, Indiana has a lot of production there at those linebacking positions. The defensive line position is also pretty stacked as well. Look at guys like Michael Ziemba. Look at guys like DeMarcus Elliott and James Head. And I like James Head's a guy that he's one of those guys that kind of stood out from me. I think the Michigan game definitely was a game that I think he was one of those guys that kind of stood out for them. They do lose some talent to the NFL draft. Again, you lose guys like Steve Scott, Harry Crider to the NFL draft. You're also losing guys like Jamar Johnson, was one of the more safety positions there, and they also lose Jerome Johnson there as well. So Indiana is losing some productivity, some very, very important productivity to the NFL draft. However, I think that's just a testament to Tom Allen of what he's done when it comes to developing these kids. Again, Indiana, as far as recruiting-wise, I think that they had the 54th best recruiting class according to the 24/7 Sports composite rankings. So not the greatest recruiting class in the world. I think they only signed 17 guys there in as well. So they're not gonna blow your socks off when it comes to recruiting. However, Indiana is a team that is trending in the right direction. They had a 6-2. They were 6-2 last year. The year prior, they had I think they were 8-5 the year prior. So Indiana is moving in the right direction. Now, are they going to be this powerhouse in the Big Ten for this year? I'm not entirely too sure. Again, returning a lot of the offensive productivity and your key strengths in your linebacking and defensive back positions, position groups, those are very, very important. However, Penn State, the Big Ten had a very, very off year. Again, 6 games, and some teams played around 4 or 5 games because of all these canceled games, and then there was you had like these little practices. So you can make an argument that Indiana was a little bit more prepared because of all the leadership and all the experience they brought back the year prior. Or again, it's just a testament to Tom Allen and how good of a coach he actually is. But James Franklin and Penn State, I don't think they're going to have the year that they're going to have the year that they're going to have. I think Michigan will rebound to being, once again, they're probably going to go back to being an 8-9 win football team. Ohio State is still a key strength there, or a key stable there in the Big Ten as far as a blue blood, a powerhouse there. I think that Iowa will continue to be better. I think Wisconsin will have a bounce back year. I think the Big Ten is going to be a little bit more tougher for Indiana this year. However, with Tom Allen at the helm and some of the experience to the most important key positions there, I think that the Indiana Hoosiers will go right back to potentially being a contender. And who knows, maybe they could, maybe, and I'm just saying maybe they could challenge Ohio State and potentially dethrone them for a division. Again, you never know. It's college football. Crazier things have happened. We'll see what Tom Allen and the Indiana Hoosiers do during the 2021 fall season.